A boat leaves port, travels 10 miles, turns 20 degrees, and then travels another 8 miles. So, exactly how far from port is the boat right now?
If you try to solve this using your standard geometry toolkit right now, you're going to get stuck. Really stuck. But by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand the exact mathematical concept, the formula behind it, and exactly how to solve tricky real-world problems just like this one with absolute confidence. So, let's jump right in. So, what's the fundamental issue here? Well, our basic math toolkit totally fails when a triangle doesn't have a 90-degree angle. If we've got a right triangle, awesome! We just use the Pythagorean Theorem. If we have an oblique triangle, meaning no right angles, and we happen to know an angle and its opposite side, we can use the law of sines. But what happens when we only have side angle side? Where the known angle is just wedged right between two known sides. Or what if we only have side side side, where we know all the side lengths but absolutely zero angles? Our standard tools completely break down. We need something way more powerful. Enter the ultimate solution, the law of cosines. Now, the formal definition here might sound like a bit of a mouthful, but the absolutely crucial takeaway is that this is essentially just an expansion of the Pythagorean theorem. Actually, it's often called the generalized Pythagorean theorem. It defines the relationship among angle measurements and side lengths in these tricky oblique triangles. Let's look at how this actually works in practice. Now, what's really fascinating here is the pattern. I know, at first glance, these three formulas probably look like an intimidating jumble of letters, but look closely. Each equation begins exactly like the Pythagorean theorem. For instance, a squared equals b squared plus c squared, right? But then we subtract a piece, 2 times the product of those exact same two sides, multiplied by the cosine of the angle opposite to the side we're trying to find. Once you spot that sandwiching pattern, it becomes incredibly easy to memorize and work with. Okay, so how are we actually going to attack these problems? Here is your clear step-by-step roadmap. First, we sketch our triangle and apply the law of cosines to find our first big missing piece, which will be either an unknown side or an unknown angle. Second, now that we've got more data to work with, we apply the law of sines or cosines to find a second angle. And third, since all angles in a triangle always add up to 180 degrees, we literally just subtract to compute that final remaining angle. Let's make this concrete with a real example. Here's our first practical example, a classic side angle side scenario. Imagine we have a triangle where side A is 10, side C is 12, and the included angle right between them, let's call it angle beta, is 30 degrees. Our mission is to find the length of the opposite side, side B. Since we have two sides and the angle wedged between them, this is the absolute perfect setup for the law of cosines. Let's plug the numbers right into our formula. B squared equals 10 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 10 times 12 times the cosine of 30 degrees. When we simplify all of that, 10 squared is 100, 12 squared is 144. We evaluate the cosine and we end up with b squared equals 244 minus 120 times the square root of 3. To find just b, we just take the square root of that whole thing. And quick reminder, because we're measuring a physical distance here, we only care about the positive square root. Punch that whole shebang into your calculator and side b is approximately 6.013. Now wait, hold on a second, this is important. A lot of students pause right here and ask, why couldn't we just use the law of sines to start with? I mean, the law of sines is generally way simpler to type into a calculator, right? Why go through all the trouble of the law of cosines? Well, this brilliantly illustrates the limitation of our basic toolkit. You see, the law of sines absolutely requires you to know at least one opposite side and angle pair. In our side angle side example we just did, we knew angle beta, but we didn't know side B. We knew sides A and C, but we didn't know their corresponding angles. We literally had no pairs. So the law of cosines acts as the master key that unlocks that very first piece of the puzzle so we can keep moving forward. All right, let's shift gears to our second big scenario, side, side, side. What if you know all three sides of a triangle but zero angles? Well, we can actually take our standard law of cosines formula and just rearrange it using some basic algebra to isolate the angle. Notice how the formula is structured here. The cosine of angle alpha equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all divided by 2bc. It's the exact same formula we just learned, just shuffled around so we can solve for an angle. Let's test this out. Here's example 2. Let's say we have a triangle with side A at 20, side B at 25, and side C at 18. Notice that we have absolutely zero angles to work with. Our goal here is to find angle alpha, which is the angle opposite to side A. We set it up using our main formula format. 20 squared equals 25 squared plus 18 squared minus 2 times 25 times 18 times the cosine of alpha. We simplify the squares to get 400 equals 625 plus 324 minus 900 times the cosine of alpha. When we isolate the cosine of alpha, we get negative 549 divided by negative 900, which gives us roughly 0.61. Finally, to find the actual angle itself, we take the inverse cosine of 0.61, which gives us an angle of approximately 52.4 degrees. Pretty cool, right?
Now, here's another critical retention moment. If you've studied the law of sines before, you probably know about the dreaded ambiguous case, where the inverse sine function can give you two completely different possible angles, basically forcing you to test multiple triangles. So the totally natural question to ask here is, will the inverse cosine give us ambiguous multiple answers too?
The answer is an emphatic no. And honestly, this is exactly why we love the law of cosines. Because a triangle's angles absolutely must be between 0 and 180 degrees, and the cosine function is entirely unique for every single angle between 0 and 100, it will only ever give you one true answer. If the angle's obtuse, the cosine's going to be negative. If it's acute, it'll be positive. There is absolutely no ambiguity, none. Okay, now let's connect this to real life. You might be sitting there thinking, when will I literally ever use this? Well, let me ask you this. How does your cell phone know exactly where you are before it even connects to a satellite GPS signal?
It uses the law of cosines. Through a process called triangulation, your phone measures the signal delay to nearby cell towers to figure out its distance from them. Imagine two towers are exactly 6,000 feet apart. Your phone determines it's 5,050 feet from Tower 1 and 2,420 feet from Tower 2. Notice what we have here? We have three sides of a triangle, side, side, side. We just need to find the angle to pinpoint your exact coordinates. So, we plug those three distances into the law of cosines, just like we did in example 2, and we find that the angle from Tower 1 to your phone is approximately 23.3 degrees. Once the phone's software has that angle, it just uses basic right triangle trigonometry, sine and cosine, to calculate that you are exactly 4,638 feet east and 1,998 feet north of the tower. This precise math is literally happening in your pocket right now.
Okay, remember our lost boat from the very beginning of the explainer? I promised you we'd be able to solve it. So let's bring it back and apply our new master key. So the boat traveled 10 miles, turned 20 degrees, and then traveled another 8 miles. Now the main trick here is visualizing that turn. If you're going straight and you turn 20 degrees, the interior angle of the triangle you just formed is actually the supplement to that turn. So 180 minus 20 gives us an interior obtuse angle of 160 degrees. Now we have a side of 10, an included angle of 160, and another side of 8. Look at that, a classic side angle side problem. We set up the equation. X squared equals 8 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 times the cosine of 160 degrees.
We run those numbers, take the positive square root, and boom, we get 17.7. The boat is exactly 17.7 miles from the port. Problem solved, using exactly the same pattern we've been using throughout this entire explainer. Before we wrap up, I want to give you one more really powerful tool for your toolkit. What if you have a side-side-side triangle and you want to know its total area, but you have no idea what its height is? Well, a geometer from the 1st century named Heron of Alexandria gave us a brilliant shortcut. Heron's formula states that the area equals the square root of s times s minus a times s minus b times s minus c, where s is the semiperimeter, and that's just simply half of the total perimeter of the triangle. Let's see this in action really quick. A real estate developer in Chicago has a triangular lot bordered by 3 streets. The sides measure 62.4 meters, 43.5 meters, and 34.1 meters. First, we find S by simply adding all 3 sides together and dividing by 2. That gives us a semi-perimeter of exactly 70 meters. We plug that 70, along with our 3 side lengths, right into Heron's formula. Take the square root, and instantly we know the developer has approximately 711.4 square meters of land to build on. And the best part? 0 height calculations required. All right, let's quickly summarize the key points we've conquered today. The law of cosines is your absolute go-to tool for solving oblique triangles whenever you have side angle side or side data. Remember, it is simply the generalized Pythagorean theorem with a modifying term slapped on the end.
When solving for angles, the inverse cosine beautifully gives you unique answers without any of that annoying ambiguity you get with the law of sines. And finally, Heron's formula allows you to instantly find the area of any triangle if you just know its three sides. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. We've seen how the law of cosines can find a lost boat and even pinpoint a cell phone on Earth. But if you know the distance from Earth to two different stars and you measure the angle between them in the night sky, how could you use the exact formulas we learned today to calculate the vast astronomical distance between those two stars? Keep that in mind, and I'll see you in our next